1, 2, 1, 2. Hello, hello. Good. All right, let's get started. So good morning, everybody, and thanks for waking up on time to come up and experience the Direct Action Panel. Robin Hood's Direct Action Panel is the name of the panel, and I was asked to do a panel. You know, Ian, can you host a panel this year? And what do you want it to be about? And I've kind of got a lot of experience on the civil disobedience panel. The civil disobedience panel is just kind of a classic panel that we've done here, and I felt, well, that one's kind of over. We've done a lot of civil disobedience and talked a lot about it. And that'll be one of our topics here today on the direct action panel. But I thought that the terms direct action kind of opens up the discussion to some more options, like Robin Hooding, for instance. In some places, it would be civil disobedience because it's actually illegal in some cities to fill someone else's meter. In New Hampshire, that's not the case. So technically, it's not civil disobedience. I think James Cleveland calls it, was it civil obedience? Is that what you call it? So I want to go down the list of panelists here and have them give a short introduction of themselves in case you are unfamiliar with everybody who's here. So I'll start. I'm Ian Freeman. I host a show called Free Talk Live. We'll actually be broadcasting down here in that little room there tonight from 7 to 10. So feel free to come out and see us. In fact, there's going to be live talk radio all evening long tonight up through 1 a.m. So if you like talk radio, then I've got that. And LRN.FM is a website, an internet stream that I program that features a number of talk shows. Derrick J being one of the hosts on that network. And Derrick J Freeman is a prolific activist. He spent a lot of time in Keene, New Hampshire, and is planning a comeback for Keene a little bit later on this year. Star of the movie Victimless Crime Spree and Peace News Now. So feel free to say hello.
Well, thanks for the lovely introduction, Ian. And that's right, I do a show on LRN twice a week, 2-hour call-in show about peaceful resistance. This is an issue that's very important to me, and I moved to New Hampshire in 2011 for the Free State Project. And I look forward to returning in June.
I'm Garret Colson. I'm a native to New Hampshire, and I've been involved in activism such as Robin Hood Keene, in Copwalk, and several other projects.
Good morning, I'm James Cleaveland. I moved to Keene in 2012. You know, I'm kind of like, I feel like a Superman. Like during the day, I'm Clark Kent. I'm a cost accountant. I'm a pretty boring guy. And then, you know, I go into the phone booth and I become Robin Hood of Keene. And, you know, it was actually pretty funny. Some of my coworkers, there was a news station out of Boston that did a report on Robin Hood of Keene. And one of them saw the report. And this guy's like a loudmouth from Massachusetts, so he's telling everyone that I work with, and you know they all love it now. They think it's funny. I mean, they constantly joke with me about filling the meters, and you know, so it's a good time, and I really enjoy doing activism.
Hello, my name is Garret Ian. I'm originally from Concord, New Hampshire. I've lived in Keene almost 2 years now. And the Robin Hooding project, as it started off, it really seemed to, it's been an idea that's been around for a long time, but it wasn't until the turn of the year last year that myself and James and a few others tried to ensure that it became a daily activity, and it really seemed to have an impact. I mean, it had a great impact when it was just something that people would do on their lunch break occasionally, but once it was stepped up, the city really entrenched themselves. As many of you know, we were sued by the city of Keene. We ended up winning after months of court proceedings. And fortunately, the city is not letting it rest. They're keeping the attention on Robin Hood and appealing that decision to the Supreme Court. So the other projects I've been involved with in the past have been some police accountability projects like Copwalk and Keene. I've also started Keene Peaceful Streets, which is trying to take things in a little bit different direction, a little bit less adversarial with established organizations. And yeah, Robin Hooding is something that, as Ian said, it's really flipping the idea of angering them by violating their laws on its head. And because we're bringing everyone into compliance, they can't deal with that. They've budgeted for the fact that people are going to break these laws and we're going to profit from that. So I like the idea that it's with just a little bit of resources and effort, you can make huge impacts. You know, a nickel compared to a $5 ticket is an exponential difference, of course.
I like that Garret used the term impact, because I think that that word sums up the purpose of what I would call direct action. So what is direct action? It's kind of a nebulous term. Usually the historic definition is to get out into the streets. So getting on Facebook, not really direct action. Going to the State House, probably not so direct, because you can't really have an impact immediately. Like you're doing something when you go to the State House, and don't get me wrong, I go on an average of once a week so far this year. So I'm willing to do whatever it takes to achieve more freedom. But impact, direct impact, being able to affect someone's life in a positive manner, either with enlightenment through information, like handing out cop block warning flyers. If you stop by the free Keene table later on, you can grab some of the propaganda that we use for outreach. And informing young people, for instance, of their rights, that has an impact. Going out, saving people from getting parking tickets, that has a real tangible impact. You're keeping money in people's pockets, and that's a huge win for us and a huge loss for the state. So I think that's my definition of what direct action is, something where you can literally reach out and touch somebody's life and help them in some sort of positive way. And hopefully that will do good things for the image of activism and libertarianism, or that sort of thing. So, but as I mentioned, direct action is more than just Robin Hooding. It's more than civil disobedience. I think we count also as direct action. So I guess with that in mind, just kind of going down a list of things. Do you guys feel like I missed something?
Yeah, I think Shire sharing counts as.
Yeah, let's hear a little bit about that, because that's a great point.
Yeah, so Ian mentioned traditional forms of activism, but I think Shire sharing is a seditious form of activism. It's undermining the welfare state, right, by replacing it and showing people how voluntary contributions to your neighbors is actually better than going through a third party that has no financial or otherwise incentive to actually do what they're saying they're doing, giving people help. So Shire Sharing is an organization that for a few years now, through the inspiration of Amanda Bolden, one of the Manchester activists, has fed hundreds of families in the Manchester area around Thanksgiving and Christmas time, purely from the donations of people in the community, and also through fundraising through Bitcoin on their website. So people who have never been a part of the geography here have been able to impact those in need in New Hampshire. And I think that's a real win. I'd love to see more direct action looking like that in other places too. But I think that's one form of direct action that counts as private charity.
If anybody else has one that I've missed, feel free to.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a wide umbrella. There's so many things you can do. Like you can do the Shire Choir thing, go out and sing, hand out literature. I mean, you can hold a sign. There's so many things. Like, to me, the whole point of direct action is it starts a conversation. Like, people, if you're out and about in the community, they're going to talk about, what your message is, what's going on. And you may reach people you're not even aware at the time. Like, one of the things I've done is don't take the plea deal outreach, where you go into a court and you hand out information about your rights to not take a plea deal. And I've had really good conversations with people about this, and a lot of people are not aware that they can just say no and not take a plea deal. And one lady I was talking to, she had like a typical story of the state coming after her. I don't remember the exact thing, and she's like, "Oh man, I really wish I had gotten this earlier." And I was talking to her, and she decided like pretty much on the spot. She said, "Well, I've already signed a plea, but I think I'm going to take it to trial if I can now." And I never followed up. I never heard back from her. And I've had a few people. One of the things that we do with Robin Hood is if people do get a ticket, we leave them information about how to fight the ticket and some of the benefits to it. And we've had good feedback where one lady in particular, I don't remember the exact dollar amount, but I think it was like $70 worth of tickets. She fought them instead of paying the state, she did community service. So I thought that was a huge win. And, you know, I guess my point is you don't realize the impact that you're having, but it's more of an impact if you get out in person and do it than Facebook. There's so much information on Facebook, and it's almost, I don't want to say it's preaching to the choir, because there are a lot of, you know, especially in Keene, like we get into it with some of who disagree with us, but I mean, Facebook is like you'll be arguing with someone on Facebook, and then you meet them in real life, and it's like totally different. You know, it's harder to have a vitriolic conversation in real life. It's harder for them to dislike you in real life. Like there's an anti-Free Keene protest I think it was like September or October, and one of the guys, you know, he was out there just like a loudmouth, and you know, he was like saying all these things, and then later on in Facebook, he posted like, oh, they're actually pretty nice, and you know, like we had gone out there and talked to him. So, you got anything to add to that?
Well, I guess that brings up a good conversation about what exactly is the reaction, how you can gauge the reaction to different activities. And Robin Hooding has certainly had a major impact just in how the city has been affected and how they've treated us and decided to dump thousands of dollars down the drain and trying to get us to quit. But also the community at large. We get various amounts of differing types of feedback. For the most part, it's positive. If someone's going to come up and say something during the course of Robin Hooding, it's usually like, good job, or here's some change, or I like what you're doing, give me a hug or something. But we definitely have a good handful of haters. And if you notice, when they start critiquing Robin Hood of Keene, it usually starts off with, this is the whole free Keene thing and free state thing, and this is what's wrong with it. So despite the fact that, you know, if one's involved in multiple projects, those projects are going to overshadow one another to some extent. And in Keene, it's really is, I felt, come to that with some of the locals. Now, unfortunately, it's like there's been a lot of anger directed at Robin Hooding, and while I wouldn't say that like you should be seeking to make people angry, I know I certainly am not seeking to make anyone angry. It's an effect that happens when people see you as being effective. They don't like what you're doing, and if they're powerless to stop it, in which case they were. There was not a lot of people, but some dedicated haters who were really hoping that we were going to lose the lawsuit and expecting us to lose the lawsuit. And when that didn't happen, I guess a lot of them are unable to process what to do about that. And afterwards, it was great. I noticed that there are some people who are shy about supporting us because of the very passionate and forward nature of the people who oppose us, saying that like if any business were to support us, that they would try and boycott that business. It says something about the impact we've had in Keene, and I think the fact that it's a small community really makes a difference. People all know each other in Keene. People all talk. So I'd love to see what the same type of project would have an impact in Manchester, where you have a larger city, a larger bureaucracy, and the idea that we've made it work on a smaller scale. I'd love to see it scaled and see how things change differently.
I've got one more thing that I want to add quickly. One thing that wasn't mentioned that I think is particularly effective and cheap and easy to do is ambush interviews that are totally direct, one-on-one with either a politician, bureaucrat of some kind. It doesn't have to be to get their vote on something. It could just be asking them about the nature of their job, or I think that has a serious impact. Anytime people watch a direct interview on YouTube with this ambushed politician, it's usually good footage. It has a large impact.
You know, I'm glad the critics came up, because it was definitely somewhere that I wanted to go. There are certain kinds of things that we've done, like Robin Hooding, that on its face, and certainly to everybody in this room, likely seems, and I should stop. Who doesn't know what Robin Hooding is? Okay, so Robin Hooding is where you find the parking enforcer on the streets in Keene, and then get in front of that person with nickels or dimes, and you feed expired meters before the parking